It's funny. In today's world, it feels like it's almost impossible to focus.
It really does.
There are so many things vying for our attention. I
Absolutely.
mean, notifications, deadlines, that catchy song, you just can't get out of your head.
Right.
It's enough to make anyone's brain feel like it's spinning.
Yeah, yeah.
But what if I told you that there's a surprisingly simple principle that can cut through all that noise
Okay.
and achieve virtually any goal that you set your mind to?
I'm listening.
And especially for you, our listeners, this could be the ultimate shortcut
Oh,
to learning and mastering anything you desire.
I like shortcuts.
Me too.
So it all comes down to this idea of focus, and I'm not just talking about like tuning out distractions for a few minutes.
Right.
The source material we've been looking at presents focus as like a philosophy, an acronym that stands for follow one course until successful.
I love that. It's not just about concentration. It's a whole approach to achieving success.
Exactly.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, think of it like planting a seed.
Okay.
You carefully choose the spot, you plant that single seed, and then you nurture it, you water it, and you give it everything it needs to flourish.
Yeah.
You wouldn't scatter 100 seeds everywhere and hope for the best, right?
No, that's a really good point.
So that's the essence of focus.
Okay.
Concentrated effort on one objective until you achieve success.
Okay, that's a pretty powerful analogy. It makes me think about all the times I've tried to juggle too many things at once,
Sure.
spreading my energy thin and ending up feeling overwhelmed and accomplishing very little.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of trying to water a whole garden with a tiny watering can.
Right. Well, that's a common trap, and it's exactly why focus can be so transformative.
Okay.
When you direct all your energy towards one goal, it's like using a high-powered hose. You get much faster and more impactful results.
So it's not just about getting things done, it's about maximizing our efficiency and impact.
Exactly.
This is already making me rethink my approach to learning.
One of the biggest benefits of focus, especially when it comes to learning, is the clarity and direction it provides.
Okay.
You're no longer bombarded with a million possibilities. You've chosen your path and you're committed to it.
Right.
That clarity allows you to delve deeper, to really master the subject matter.
That resonates with me. I've always been fascinated by the idea of becoming a polymath, someone who knows a little about everything.
Oh, interesting.
But recently, I've started to wonder if that approach might be sacrificing depth for breadth.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Well, the source material we've been looking at actually touches on that very point.
Does it really?
Yeah, it argues that in today's world, specialized knowledge is often more valuable than general knowledge.
Okay.
Think about it. Would you rather have a surgeon who knows a little bit about every medical specialty,
Right.
or one who has dedicated their entire career to mastering a specific procedure?
That's a great point. It makes me think about the example of learning to code. Instead of trying to learn 5 different programming languages at once, wouldn't it be more effective to really master one language, say Python,
Yeah.
and then build from there?
Exactly. By focusing on one area of knowledge, you're not just skimming the surface.
Right.
You're doing the deep work required to achieve true understanding and mastery.
And I imagine that kind of focused effort
Mm.
also helps prevent that dreaded feeling of overwhelm,
Absolutely.
which is something I'm always trying to avoid.
Yeah, trying to do everything at once is a surefire recipe for burnout.
Yeah.
But with focus, you create space for steady, sustainable progress without feeling constantly overloaded.
Okay.
Plus, as you achieve those small wins along the way, it builds incredible momentum,
Yeah, I like that.
propelling you toward your larger goal.
Those aha moments when you finally grasp a difficult concept or master a new skill are so rewarding.
Yes, they are.
And you're saying those moments are more likely to occur when we're deeply focused on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how this focus principle could be applied to so many different areas of life.
It absolutely can.
Cool.
The source material highlights how focus can be a game changer in areas like health, wealth, relationships, and even business.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's dive into some specific examples.
Let's start with health. We all have those moments where we want to make a big change,
Yeah.
like overhauling our diet or starting a new exercise routine.
Right.
But trying to change everything at once is usually a recipe for disaster.
Oh, tell me about it. I once tried to go vegan train for a marathon and quit caffeine all at the same time. It
What?
was not pretty.
That's why focus is so crucial for building healthy habits.
Okay.
The source material uses the example of reducing sugar intake.
Yeah.
Instead of drastically cutting out all sugar overnight, which can lead to cravings and setbacks, you choose to focus on that one habit. You become aware of where hidden sugars lurk. You make conscious choices about what you eat, and you gradually reduce your intake over time.
So it's about building sustainable change one step at a time,
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to achieve a complete transformation overnight.
Precisely. And the same principle applies to building wealth. The source material uses a great phrase. It talks about how trying to chase multiple financial goals at once can dilute progress.
Hmm.
You're spreading your resources too thin, and as a result, you end up making slower progress toward each goal.
That makes me think about the snowball method for paying off debt.
Right.
It's all about focusing all your extra money on one debt until it's gone, and then rolling that momentum into tackling the next debt. It makes the whole process feel so much more achievable.
Exactly. That laser focus can lead to much faster results.
Right.
And it's not just about paying off debt. The same principle applies to investing, saving for retirement, or any other financial goal.
So whether we're talking about health, wealth, or even something like learning a new language,
Mm-hmm.
the key takeaway is to choose one thing and give it our undivided attention. It's about depth over breadth, quality over quantity.
You got it. And speaking of knowledge, that's another area where focus can be incredibly powerful.
Okay.
You, our listener, are clearly someone who values learning and seeks to gain a deep understanding of the topics that interest you.
Right.
But sometimes it can feel like we're drowning in information, bombarded with articles, podcasts, and videos, all vying for our attention.
It's true. It's like trying to study a complex subject by only reading the chapter summaries.
All right.
You might get a general idea, but you'll miss all the nuance and depth that comes from really immersing yourself in the material.
Right, and that's where focus comes in.
Okay.
By choosing one area of knowledge and dedicating yourself to mastering it, you're making a conscious decision to delve deep, to explore every nook and cranny to become a true expert.
I'm starting to see how this could be the ultimate cheat code for learning, as we hinted at in the beginning.
It is.
But this idea that even relationships can benefit from focus really intrigues me. How does that work?
Well, think about it. When you're fully present with someone, giving them your undivided attention,
Right.
that's a form of focus.
I guess so.
You're not checking your phone.
Oh, right.
You're not thinking about your to-do list. You're simply being present in that moment with that person.
The source material actually suggests setting aside dedicated time for loved ones,
Yes.
free from distractions,
Yes.
to cultivate those deep connections.
Right.
No phones, no work emails, just pure, focused connection.
Exactly. And that same principle can apply to building stronger relationships with friends, colleagues, and even ourselves.
So it's not just about accomplishing tasks. It's about cultivating a mindset of intentionality and presence in every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
I love that.
And finally, let's touch on business. The source material makes a powerful statement about how true business success comes from completing one milestone at a time, not from spreading your efforts too thin.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in trying to do it all, to be on every social media platform,
Right.
to launch a million products at once.
Ew.
But that kind of scattered approach rarely leads to sustainable success.
Instead, imagine choosing one platform and dedicating yourself to mastering it,
Okay.
to building a thriving community there before expanding to other platforms.
Right.
Or imagine focusing all your energy on perfecting one product before moving on to the next big idea. That's the power of focus in action.
Wow. This whole conversation has been incredibly eye-opening.
Good.
I'm already starting to see how this simple principle of focus could be the key to unlocking greater success and fulfillment in every area of life.
It's a powerful tool, and the good news is
Yeah.
it's something we can all learn to cultivate.
So how do we actually put this principle into practice? Are there concrete steps we can take to become more focused individuals?
Absolutely. The source material outlines a clear roadmap for putting focus into action.
This is where it gets really interesting. I'm eager to hear more about these practical steps.
Well, the first step is to choose your goal.
Okay.
It sounds simple, but it's the foundation of the entire Focus as philosophy.
Okay. But with so many potential goals vying for our attention, how do we choose the right one?
Right.
How do we know which goal deserves that laser focus?
Well, the source material emphasizes choosing the goal that will have the biggest positive impact on your life right now. It's about prioritizing, not about trying to conquer every mountain at once.
Okay.
And, it might even be helpful to consider
Yeah.
which goal will best set you up for success with other goals down the line.
So it's not just about what's urgent.
No.
It's about what's truly important in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly.
What will move the needle most significantly in the direction you want to go.
Exactly. And once you've identified that key goal, the next step is to break it down
Yeah.
into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
This is where you take that big, sometimes daunting goal
Right.
and turn it into a series of actionable tasks.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Yeah. By breaking down a large goal into smaller steps, it feels much less overwhelming.
Exactly. And it also makes it easier to track your progress and celebrate those small wins along the way.
Okay.
Which can be incredibly motivating. Now, here's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
The source material emphasizes the importance of eliminating distractions.
Oh, this is a big one for me. I'm constantly battling distractions.
Like what?
My phone, social media, that pile of laundry that seems to magically multiply every week.
Yeah.
How do we actually create those boundaries and protect our precious focus?
Well, the source suggests being ruthless about identifying your biggest distractions and finding ways to minimize or eliminate them.
Right.
It might involve turning off notifications, using website blockers, or even having designated no phone zones in your home or workspace.
You know, it's funny. I used to think that multitasking was a sign of efficiency, but I've realized that it's actually the opposite. When I try to do too many things at once, my focus gets fragmented, and I end up doing everything half-heartedly.
Research actually backs that up.
Really?
Studies have shown that multitasking can significantly reduce productivity and even lower your IQ.
No way.
It's like trying to run 2 marathons at the same time.
Yeah.
You might technically be moving your legs, but you're not going to win either race.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So instead of scattering our attention in a million different directions, we need to create those pockets of focused time where we can really delve deep into the task at hand.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, even with the best intentions, we're all going to have moments where we get distracted, where our minds wander, where we feel like we're losing that focus.
Right.
What do we do when that happens?
Well, I think the key here is to be kind to yourself.
Okay.
Recognize that you're human, not a robot.
Right.
And that distractions are inevitable.
Right.
Instead of getting discouraged, simply acknowledge the distraction. Gently redirect your attention back to the task at hand and move on.
So it's not about achieving some mythical state of perfect, unwavering focus.
No.
It's about developing the skill of recognizing when our minds have wandered.
Yes.
And bringing them back to the present moment.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the stronger that muscle becomes.
Okay.
You'll find that you're able to stay focused for longer periods of time, and you'll be less susceptible to those pesky distractions.
This reminds me of a study I read about where researchers tracked the performance of 2 groups of athletes.
Okay.
One group trained using a highly focused approach, concentrating on mastering a few key skills.
Okay.
The other group spread their training across a wider range of activities, trying to improve in many areas at once.
That sounds fascinating. What were the results?
Well, the athletes who trained with laser focus showed significantly greater improvement in their targeted skills.
Makes sense.
They weren't spreading their energy thin.
Yeah.
They were concentrating their efforts on a select few areas.
Right.
And not only that, but they also experienced less burnout and higher levels of motivation throughout the study.
That makes perfect sense. It highlights the importance of not just working hard, but working smart.
Yeah.
By choosing where to direct our energy, we can achieve much greater results with less effort.
So it's about quality over quantity, both in terms of the work we do and the results we achieve.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that brings us to another key point, consistency.
Okay.
The source material emphasizes that even small, consistent effort over time can compound into extraordinary results.
Right.
It's like investing a small amount of money every month. Over time, those small contributions can grow into a significant nest egg.
It's like that saying, dripping water hollows out stone, not through force, but through persistence.
I love that. It perfectly captures the essence of consistency.
Yeah.
It's not about grand gestures or bursts of intense effort.
Right.
It's about showing up day after day and doing the work, even when you don't feel like it.
And I imagine that as you start to see those small wins accumulate, it creates a positive feedback loop.
Absolutely.
The more progress you make, the more motivated you become to keep going.
Absolutely. It's about building momentum, creating that upward spiral of success.
Right.
But one thing that often trips people up when it comes to FOSUS is the fear of missing out.
FOMO, the modern day dilemma.
It is, isn't it?
We live in a world of constant stimulation and endless possibilities. And it's easy to feel like we need to experience it all, to do it all, to be it all.
Right. But here's the paradox.
Okay.
By spreading ourselves too thin,
Yeah.
we end up missing out on the depth and richness that come from true focus.
Interesting.
It's like trying to read 10 books at once.
Yeah.
You might get a glimpse of each story, but you'll never truly immerse yourself in any of them.
But isn't there value in exploring a range of interests
Sure.
before settling on one?
Of course.
How do we know we found the right thing to focus on if we haven't at least sampled the buffet of options out there?
That's a great question, and it's something I think a lot of people struggle with. The source material suggests approaching this with a sense of curiosity and experimentation.
Okay.
Allow yourself to dabble in different areas, to try new things, to explore different paths.
Right.
But do so with intention,
Okay.
with the understanding that this is a phase of exploration, not a commitment to mastery.
So it's like taking a test drive before buying a car.
Exactly.
You want to make sure it's the right fit for you before you invest in it fully.
Exactly. And as you explore,
Yeah.
pay attention to what truly sparks your interest.
Okay.
What challenges you in a positive way?
Hmm.
What makes you lose track of time?
Right.
Those are often signs that you've stumbled upon something worth focusing on.
That makes sense. It's not about shutting ourselves off from the world of possibilities.
No.
It's about using our energy wisely and choosing our focal point strategically.
Precisely. And remember, focus doesn't mean locking yourself in a room and never coming out.
Right.
It's not about becoming a hermit.
Yeah.
It's about being intentional with your time and energy. It's about creating boundaries and protecting your focus from distractions. It's about consciously choosing where to direct your attention.
It's like setting up those mental guardrails to keep ourselves on track, gently redirecting ourselves when we veer off course.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, it's a process, not a destination. You're not going to achieve perfect focus overnight.
Right.
There will be days when you're in the zone and days when you feel scattered and distracted.
Sure.
The key is to keep practicing, to keep refining your approach, and to keep believing in the power of focus to transform your life.
So instead of beating ourselves up when we have an off day, we should view those moments as opportunities to learn and grow, to refine our strategies,
Exactly.
and to come back even stronger the next day.
Exactly. It's all about progress, not perfection.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
Good.
I'm feeling incredibly energized and ready to apply these principles to my own life. But before we wrap up this section, I have one final question for you.
I'm all ears.
If you could give our listeners one piece of advice, one golden nugget of wisdom to help them on their focused journey, what would it be?
That's a great question. I think my advice would be this: start small.
Okay.
Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Baby steps, right. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly. Choose one small area where you want to improve your focus and start there.
Okay.
Maybe it's dedicating 30 minutes each morning to focused work,
Okay.
or setting aside 1 hour a week for uninterrupted family time,
Okay.
or even just committing to putting your phone away during meals.
Small changes, consistently applied, can lead to big results.
Exactly.
It's like that tiny seed that grows into a mighty oak tree.
Precisely. Once you experience the benefits of focus in that one area, it will inspire you to expand it to other areas of your life.
Huh.
It's like a ripple effect spreading outward from that initial point of focus.
I love that. And it makes the whole process feel much less daunting.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling like we need to make a massive shift all at once,
Right.
we can simply focus on one small step at a time.
And remember, it's a journey, not a race. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your wins, learn from your setbacks, and keep moving forward.
As we've been exploring this idea of focus, I've been struck by how it seems to connect to so many other positive habits and mindsets.
Oh, absolutely. Focus acts like a catalyst,
Yeah.
amplifying the benefits of other practices.
For instance, I've been thinking a lot about the connection between focus and mindfulness.
Ah, yes. That's a fascinating link. Mindfulness is all about cultivating present moment awareness.
Right.
And that very awareness is what allows focus to really take root.
Exactly. That's like mindfulness creates the fertile ground for focus to flourish. When you're grounded in the present moment,
Right.
you're less likely to get swept away by distractions, anxieties about the past, or worries about the future. That grounded presence allows you to fully engage with whatever you're doing,
Right.
whether it's a creative project, a challenging task, or even just a simple conversation.
And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
When you bring that quality of attention to even the most mundane tasks, you elevate them, transforming them into opportunities for growth, learning, and even joy.
It's like taking something ordinary and imbuing it with a sense of purpose and meaning,
Yes.
simply by the quality of your attention.
Yeah.
Instead of rushing to get to the next thing,
Right.
you savor each step of the journey.
And that brings us to another powerful connection: gratitude. When you're truly focused on what you're doing, you're more likely to appreciate the process itself.
Hmm.
The small wins, the moments of learning and growth.
It makes me think about those times when I've been so absorbed in a task that I completely lose track of time.
Yeah,
It's like entering a state of flow where everything else fades away
right.
and you're completely immersed in the present moment.
That's a great example. And that sense of flow often arises when we're deeply focused on something
Yeah.
that challenges us in a positive way,
Right.
something that stretches our abilities and pushes us to grow.
So it's not about eliminating all distractions and becoming laser-focused robots.
No, not at all.
It's about cultivating a flexible, adaptable mindset where we can shift our attention as needed, engage fully with the task at hand, and find moments of joy and fulfillment, even in the midst of challenges.
Well said. It's about embracing the power of focus as a tool for living a more intentional, fulfilling life. And remember,
Yeah.
it's a skill that takes practice just like any other.
Right.
You're not going to become a master of focus overnight.
Sure.
There will be days when you feel scattered, distracted, and overwhelmed. But the key is to keep practicing, to keep refining your approach, and to keep believing in the power of focus to transform your life.
So instead of beating ourselves up when we have an off day,
Right.
we should view those moments as opportunities to learn and grow to refine our strategies
Exactly.
and to come back even stronger the next day.
Absolutely.
For our listeners who are eager to embark on this focus journey,
Yes.
what are some practical tips or tools they can use to strengthen their focus muscles?
Well, one tool that I find incredibly helpful is noise-canceling headphones.
Oh.
They create a bubble of quiet, allowing you to shut out the distractions of the outside world and fully immerse yourself in your work.
They're game changers, especially for anyone who works in a busy environment or has a house full of, shall we say, lively distractions.
And there are some great apps out there that can help with focus, too.
Really?
One that comes to mind is the Pomodoro Technique app,
Okay.
which helps you break your work into intervals with short breaks in between.
Right.
This structured approach can be really helpful for people who struggle with procrastination or get easily overwhelmed by large tasks.
That reminds me of something we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Breaking down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yes.
It's all about making the process feel less daunting and more achievable.
Exactly. And for those who are more visual, creating a vision board can be a powerful way to stay focused on their goals.
Okay.
By surrounding yourself with images and words that represent what you're striving for,
Yeah.
you keep those goals top of mind and fuel your motivation. I love that. It's like creating a tangible representation of your dreams and aspirations. A
Yes.
constant reminder of what you're working towards.
And don't underestimate the power of accountability. Sharing your goals with a friend or joining a support group
Oh, yeah.
can provide that extra boost of encouragement and help you stay on track.
It's like having a cheerleader in your corner reminding you why you started and celebrating your progress along the way. And sometimes just knowing that someone else is aware of your goals can be enough to keep you motivated and accountable.
That's so true.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, finding what works for you is key.
Right.
Experiment with different strategies and tools until you discover what helps you tap into that flow state of focused productivity.
And remember, be patient with yourself. Focus is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice.
Don't get discouraged if you have setbacks or off days.
Right.
Just keep practicing, keep refining your approach, and keep believing in the power of focus to transform your life.
This deep dive has been truly enlightening.
We've explored the many facets of focus, its profound benefits, its connection to other positive habits, and practical strategies for cultivating it in our daily lives. We hope you've gained valuable insights and are feeling inspired to embrace the power of focus in your own journey.
We've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating topic, but we hope this deep dive has given you the tools and inspiration to start cultivating greater focus in your own life. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. And every small step you take towards greater focus is a step towards living a more intentional, productive, and fulfilling life.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the power of focus. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.